Hi empaths, welcome back to my channel and back to Journey Through the Tarot. We're talking about our week with the Page of Swords. And introducing the history, symbolism, and divination of the Knight of Swords. So feeling good getting out of those, the number cards, right? We are, I was inspired to do this journey by Dirty and Divine, a transformative journey through tarot by Alice B. Grist. She spent a day with each card. We're spending a week and getting a lot of our info from the tarot, history, symbolism, and divination. Robert M. Place, one of my tarot teachers, and using the Waite-Smith symbolism through of the Rider Tarot deck. And that's what it looks like this. If you need any of those items, they are available in my Amazon store. I link them in the description below. So let's get started with our week with the Page. And, you know, the Page is kind of looking back. It's the beginning of an idea, right? Just to jog the memory here about what the Page of Swords represents, and then talking about the week. Formulating words, analyzing first, blunt words, not thoughtful, diarrhea of the mouth, not formulating words, snooping, spying on social media, analysis, untactful, research, forming opinions, and head full of possibilities, heart full of courage, moving through the dark, fighting through the glare of day, making way for yourself in a messed up world. I mean, how apropos. So, and also the Page is a younger male, right? And can also indicate air sign, right? Because of the swords. So sometimes when we get into the court cards where there is an indication of a person instead of a number, like a page instead of a 10, for example, it can represent an actual person. And even, you know, even the number cards can represent a person. It just depends on your relationship with the meaning of that card. So this week was interesting. I had a lot of things happen, a lot of communication, which is to be expected from the Page, from the sword suit, but a lot of unexpected communication. I felt like at the beginning of the week, I definitely had an experience where I was a little too honest with somebody I didn't know that well and who's actually a supervisor at work. And I admitted my, authentic feelings about something that was going on. And I started to feel like, I wasn't completely candid and unfiltered, but I was honest. And I was having a moment of just anger and resentment about a procedure, I guess, a protocol that didn't seem fair to me. And also the way I was being treated in a certain way. So I was honest about him with that. And the next day I sort of said, hey, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have burdened you with that. Like, that probably wasn't appropriate. And, I was not in a good place. Sorry for being moody. And, I'm ready to do better today. And he came back with, please don't take this the wrong way, but shut up. Honesty is something I really value in people, and I really appreciated your honesty. I always appreciate your honesty. So I was like, okay, thank you. That makes me feel better. And he's someone I feel like, even though I don't know him that well, that I can be honest with and I can trust to an extent, right? It's a workplace environment, so I'm working on not having messy boundaries here as well. So that was important. And he's one person that, and he's a younger male, he's younger than me, and he's one person that always shows appreciation for my work ethic, what I have to bring and offer to the workplace, which is a style that I really need. I think sometimes people in leadership roles, even if they're just slightly above you, feel like they're not worthy of the position. And so they have to overcompensate by putting the people that work for them down, or be overly critical, or for some, somehow maybe unconsciously prove to themselves that that's why they're in an authority position, or maybe their style is just really, it's my way or the highway, but I'm not going to have clear protocol. So you're just always going to be on edge guessing if you did the right thing. And I can't bear that. That's really, that's been really difficult for me in past work situations. And in this one, there is protocol, there is procedure, there is some things where I have to kind of be creative and figure things out on my own, but I can do that. I'm good at that. And he really appreciates that when I make the effort to problem solve without having to lean on him. And then there were times where I was too independent and I didn't want to come to him for anything, even though it was actually procedure to ask certain permissions. And I kind of sidestepped that. I didn't want to, but he was very clear that I needed to do that. And so communication's just been really good, and expectations have been very clear. And that's always really helpful to me. And if I'm not doing something, correctly, it gets communicated to me. So that's important. That was sort of the first younger male incident, right? Where, and interestingly, because this is like spying, I work in customer service and all the calls are recorded. And, that's one of the main things I'm doing right now is like outsourced customer service. And he listens in on the calls and then offers support, as you're sort of still in the call. And I just find that so supportive. Like, it feels like someone has my back, and that I have nothing to hide, right? That, so I just really appreciate that. And I really appreciate him as a colleague and even supervisor. Like, that's not always the easiest relationship, but his style is just so perfect for me. And he's always like, hey, I'm an open book. If you need to come to me for anything, don't hesitate. Like, just, I'm open to feedback. And if, I'm approaching you in a way that doesn't feel good to you, let me know. I'm willing to work with you. So I just really appreciate him. I don't know that I could bear the job without working with him most days. So very lucky that, he's the supervisor on duty most days I'm working. I don't get along quite as well with anyone else. And I am kind of particular about what I like and need in the people I'm working with. So, and has a great sense of humor, and that's always needed. That's always necessary when you're working with the public. It's so important to have someone that you can laugh and transmute with. I've always needed that and appreciated that, the workplace as well. And I think that's part of the sword suit too, is wittiness, cleverness, quick thinking, humor. I think the most intelligent people have the best senses of humor, Speaking of which, one of my comedy teachers posted in our private group on Facebook, like, share your YouTube channels. And so I shared both of mine, this one and the Empath Entertainment podcast channel, and he followed both of them. And that started out as a really great, connection, and he appreciated, the way I think, and, what I brought to the table, and from the start. And I felt seen by him. And it's interesting that this card is like someone spying, inevitably, is what it means. But I think that can also be like someone saw you when you didn't know they were watching, but not in a creepy way. It can also be like an acknowledgement kind of way, because I also had someone I had dated, and I use that term loosely, but someone I was seeing, I did really care about him, but it was sort of brief. When I was still in New York City years ago, and we're still in touch. We're still in each other's lives. Not that closely, but we'll message each other every now and again and just check in and see how we're doing and all of that. And he's a younger male. He's actually an air sign. And he messaged me on Instagram, and we just share like accomplishments that, we currently are experiencing and celebrating, and if we're going through something, I guess sometimes, and just sharing the work that we're putting out there with each other. And that's felt pretty supportive. It was one of those situations where, and because he's an air sign, or has a lot of air, not necessarily air sign, but I feel like a lot of air, there can be this detachment, right, with air. And I always felt like I wanted to get really close to him emotionally. I felt this sort of, we both felt the connection pretty quickly, I would say. And then I really wanted emotional intimacy with him. Like, I enjoyed the other kinds of intimacy that we shared, but I really wanted emotional intimacy with him. That's what I was longing for. I feel like I really needed from him. And it was at a weird time. The timing was really weird in both of our lives. I was older. I'm still older than him. And it was one of those things where I don't think he was in a place in his life where he could offer that, or could see me or show up for me in a way that I really needed. And I still had a lot of healing to do, a lot of maturing to do myself, because I was still kind of new to relationships. The moment I saw him walk in, I remember seeing him walk into the workplace for the first time. And that's where we met. And a red flag went off immediately, because he looked similar and had a similar vibe to the person I had just gotten over, who was also a younger male. So, and that didn't really go anywhere. That was sort of this weird, like, past life situation, circumstance that showed up again so that I could live it out, I guess. I don't know. Have some kind of closure that never really quite happened, but it brought a lot of pain. That certainly happened. So when I saw him, those alarm bells kind of went off when he first walked in, and I thought, okay, he's trouble. So make sure you stay away from him. Like, you don't want any connection with him. Like, stay distant from him. And so I really did a good job of that for a while. And then, we were both just attracted to each other intellectually and emotionally and physically. So, and I think I wanted more, and I still, in any intimate relationship, I want more. I don't want, like, casual just isn't my thing. I'm not a casual kind of person. So, and I still was kind of learning that you kind of have to be upfront about that. And I didn't do a bad job of doing that. It's just, that's not what happened. It's just not where it went. Anyway, why am I talking about this? So we were messaging each other recently, and I was just sort of authentic and vulnerable about how I was kind of going through a dark time right now. And I mean, it feels brighter right now, but I think when I was messaging him, it was just like, he was like, "What are you up to?" Because he just shared some celebrations with me, and I was like, it's just an interesting time. It feels kind of dark. I feel a little lost, and I feel like I'm not the only one. So certainly that's going to be exacerbated because I'm an empath. Um, and I don't always know who to lean on. I tend to be the strong friend, right? Or the friend that people come to. And emotionally, right? Because there are certainly people I can lean on and depend on for certain things. And my best friend is one of those people that that will help me laugh my way out of darkness, or understand. He's really good at empathy. We've grown a lot together in that way. So I am usually not all that vulnerable with this person. And so I was just kind of honest about what I'm going through. And I told him that, one of the things I was doing was customer care. And he was like, what does that entail? And I was like, oh, just, outsourced, handling customers' accounts and complaints and troubleshooting errors and issues and things. And he was saying how, well, with a sunny disposition, it probably fits like a glove for you. And I was sort of just like, it's funny you see me that way. I mean, that's not my nature at all. Like, I really work at that. That's something I really invest in every day. I'm priming myself emotionally every day. I'm, doing spiritual work and alchemy every single day to kind of maintain more positive energy and cheerfulness. But I'm moody. Like, I'm emo at heart. Like, I'm sensitive. I'm emotional. So it's just funny that, that's what you see. And he was just sort of like, well, I just saw you brighten so many people's days just by having a moment with you, because we sort of sat at the desk together at work. He was an intern and I was an employee, and we worked side by side for a while, and on the days he was there. And so that really made me feel seen. It just made me feel acknowledged. And I thanked him for that like he recognized that and was willing to share that with me, because it was something I needed to hear. I feel a little starved in that area right now. And I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of us are feeling isolated and alone in our journeys. And just sort of trying to walk through it, And I'm very aware that this time is temporary. It's just, it gets heavy, It starts to get really heavy. So I really appreciated him sharing that and just acknowledge, because it was also one of those things where I felt like I wanted closeness so badly with him at the time, during that time, that we were kind of on and off, but he withheld it. And it just felt like that was so painful to me. So I know that was just like a little crumb, but it was meaningful to me because he used to mean something to me. So that had an impact on me. And I've been very emotional, like I'm crying very easily. I also think that's partly because it's the winter, and it's my least favorite season. I don't mind the snow. I think it can be very lovely. It's just I get stuck inside, and I need sunshine. Like, I need to be moving outside with nature, like walking every day with fresh air and being right out in the sun. And not having that consistently, it's not good for me. Like, I feel like it affects me emotionally big time. So I feel like I cry easier. It's just very weird, a weird feeling. Other things that happened this week, though, were I talked to one of my friends in New York City, and I felt acknowledged for how much I've been investing in my education independently. Like, just constantly educating myself in healing and just really refining what that looks like for me and my process. And then also fleshing out in my mind, this is how creative ideas work for me, fleshing out in my mind an offering or an experience I could give to a group of people or even one-on-one. I think I probably had one of the best sessions I've ever had with one of my regular clients this past week. She just felt so enthusiastic and good by the end of the session. She's like, this is the best session I think we've ever had. And it was one of those things where I thought, did I do enough? It was one of those things where I was like, that feedback really made me feel relieved, because sometimes I feel I get that not good enough syndrome, and I feel like, okay, I'm a fixer and did I do enough here? And I need to get out of that mindset because it's not supportive of being a good facilitator. It's not coming from me anyway. So I need to be, have more humility around that and not get in my ego or attached to outcomes, because I feel like sometimes when it just feels like it was too easy, I don't feel like I earned the results. And that's the worst way to look at it, because it should be easy and effortless. It should feel like I wasn't forcing something to happen, that it was in flow. I was in flow. So that was a great confirmation for that for me. And the friend I talked to, so I was talking about the friend I talked to from New York City. She's actually an air sign. She just had a birthday. She's an Aquarius. And we were talking about healing and how she was having bad experiences with therapists and things. And she was actually seeking one that took her insurance that did some of the same modalities as me. And and she just was asking me, do you think like this is something she said, what do you think about that? And I gave her my honest feedback. And I was explaining to her IFS and the parts therapy and how that actually works, and what the goal actually is. And we had done some of that work with each other, and also hypnosis. And I think just that conversation helped her see how well studied I was and how hard I work at excellence, and and refining my skills and finding the ones that really land, because while I think any one modality could benefit anybody, if it doesn't resonate, it's not, and you're not going to do it consistently, you're not going to reap the benefits, and you're not going to get good at it, right? Mastery is about something you can repeat over and over again and be creative and innovative and find the best way, right? So much so, though, that you can navigate the unexpected as well, right? Where I have the protocol so down that when something unexpected comes, I can play with that. I have the confidence to just be with it, be aware, and be curious. And I think anytime you're not well-versed, you're going to get scared, right? Fear's going to come up. You're going to be like, oh my God, what do I do with this? What does that mean? But if you're confident enough in your experience to still be curious, that's where the magic can happen, because the unexpected is going to pop up. And if you know enough to, stand on, to have a really solid base, that's when the magic can happen, because that happens with the unexpected things that pop up, right? And I think this can also be an indication of that, right? The beginner's mind, staying curious, watching. What else happened this week? It felt like a lot happened. I got a lot done. a um a friend reached out who we were talking about doing a podcast together. I talked to my podcast partner, or no, I was supposed to, and we never got to talk. I still have to talk to her. I still have to call her, but planning the next episode and just catching up. We haven't done that in a while. And then a friend of mine who's also an artist, we actually met in a singing program together and performed together, was like, I think we could do a weekly podcast. I think we should do it. I think we should go for it. And I was like, I think we could too, because I've really been longing for collaboration. I'm very aware that I'm better bouncing off energy with other people, more than I am creating on my own. I think I can create quality content on my own. It's hard for me personally to be funny alone or to be entertaining alone. I feel like, yeah, sure, I can be candid and vulnerable and maybe even energetic. I can muster that, but it's hard for me to be as engaging or entertaining as I could be, I think. I'm very aware that like collaboration can be better for me in certain ways. So I had a friend reach out to me who we used to have weekly catch-ups, and we would laugh, and we thought, oh my gosh, we should have recorded that. That was so funny. And we're like, next time let's record. And we kept saying that. And then we kind of fell off because our schedules weren't syncing anymore, and she's off recording her album and her music videos and stuff. And so she reached out to me a couple days ago, and she was like, we should do the podcast. I think we could do it. I think we should do a weekly one, and I think it would be really good, really funny. And I was like, I think you're right. I'm so excited because that was something I was manifesting, because I'm excited this week. I'm going to do a class with Laura Day. It's a full day workshop. That was another synchronicity that happened because, oh God, I'm talking so much. Laura Day, author of The Circle. Okay, she's coming to the New York Open Center this Saturday. I had to call off work. It was a whole deal. It was a whole thing. Well, I'm only taking part of the day off. I work super early on Saturdays. I work at 6 a.m. So I'm going to work until 10, go to the workshop till 5, and then make up the rest of the hours the next day. So I'm going to be exhausted, but I'm ready for it. I'm up for it. I was working with The Circle, right? And that's all about intuitive arts, alchemy, and manifestation. And that's what I'm focused on right now. And with Laura Day, because I was looking at Cindy Dale's advanced apprenticeship program, and that's not coming up till April. And I was thinking, I'm excited to participate in that. But I also want to work with Laura Day. So let me just see what's going on with her in the meantime. And that was on Saturday, this past Saturday. And I found that she's going to be at the Open Center, which is my old workplace, which is where I met the younger man I was just talking about, the New York Open Center. And she's going to be there this Saturday teaching a full day workshop at a really low cost comparatively. And it's all benefiting the Open Center to keep it going, right? Because now the Open Center is no longer a brick and mortar building location. It's all online as we kind of navigate COVID. And once we can go forward and then gather again, I think they'll find a new location. But so I'm really excited about this full day workshop. I'm sure I'll be exhausted, but something I'm learning is that if I'm inspired, that's what gives me energy, not necessarily rest. It's inspiration. So, which is why I can feel awful in the winter, even if I'm sleeping for 9 hours, right? Even if I'm sleeping and napping and not really doing much, I'll feel more tired than if I'm getting less sleep, but I'm go with things that aren't just taking from me, things that are also replenishing me. Artists need inspiration. I'll never not be an artist just because I'm not getting paid to be an artist, right? Just because I'm not getting paid to be an actress or comedian right now or singer, and I don't even have really the space to feel the freedom to sing and create as much as I'd like to. just because that's the case doesn't make me stop having an artistic nature and tendency. Anyone who has an artistic nature and tendency needs inspiration. That's our fuel, right? We need to be feeding ourselves images of art, of beauty, of hope, of faith, and using that imagination, which is that's our paintbrush, right? And even artists who wield a paintbrush need imagination too. That's the gold, right? That's what we manifest from. So I was working with my imagination, and I'm in this manifestation program as well, just, gathering data so that I can create a program to help people. What's the best of the best? Because I've actually consumed and digested so much material, classes, immersions, exercises. That's what I'm born to do. I love doing that. And finding a way and an approach that's really refined based on my own experiences. That's what I'm seeking right now. So I was really going back to Laura Day's program around through the circle around manifestation and alchemy, and thinking about I'm getting paid more than I'm getting paid more than what I need, doing something I love, right? And so I was thinking about what is it that thing that I love? And the thing that I love is coming together and creating transmutation through laughter with friends. And I think that next day is when my friend reached out to me, the one who's recording the album, and she was like, let's do a podcast. And I was like, okay, like I already have 2 podcasts, but I think it would be worthwhile with her. We just have so much chemistry, and we can laugh about things, and we're both healers and artists. So we have a lot in common there. And then I told my best friend that, and he's always been like, I would love to collaborate with you or do something, but it never comes through, right? So he was like, Rachel, I think we should record something together, right? After he hears that someone else wants to. And then he's actually opening his show this Friday, a show called Compensation, and he has a starring role. He asked me to run lines with him, and it was so much fun. We used to read plays together every single day, or not every day maybe, but all the time. We used to live together, and we would just read plays and and read the Bible and together, and we just always were coming together to sort of create and connect. And it was always inspiring. And so he's like, we need to do more of that. And I was like, I know, we really do, because we haven't read a play together in so long, and it was so much fun. And it wasn't really a play reading. I was running lines with him, right? So it wasn't acting. It was like running lines, but it was still creative and fun, and I loved doing it with him. And then we're going to do, I think, an interview talking about art and being an empath and creativity and talking about the show he's in. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, and I think I definitely feel like after getting out of those last number swords cards, the 9 and the 10 especially, 8, 9, 10, that was rough. That was really hard. I'm glad we walked through it, but it was a really dark time, and I finally feel like we're coming out of it. At least I am. And I hope I am taking the brunt of it. I hope that, I'm not putting anyone else through it, although I think it's worthwhile, because for me, I want to integrate those shadow aspects. I just opened my journal today. And back in 2001, I had a journal entry about a book I read by Debbie Ford called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And that was the first time I was introduced to the concept of the shadow self. and those things that we're not owning in ourselves. That was 2001. Crazy. And that was when I was first introduced to that concept. And it's not just dark, that your shadow self aren't just those dark attributes. It's light ones as well that you're not owning. And I wrote a whole entry about that. I was just skimming it because I was seeing if I could use that journal for something else. But I opened it to that today and I was like, wow, okay. I've been contemplating this quite some time and I've been doing self-reflection for a lot. I have a Pisces moon, so that makes sense to me. Although in this manifestation program that I'm currently in, it's based on Neville Goddard's work. It's all about, right now we're focusing on the Pearl of Great Price, which is one of his lectures around giving up those things that you feel you need to connect and connecting solely to Christ consciousness, right? Source, as opposed to feeling like you need astrology, right, to divine or predict or to make sense, because we can always transcend those things. And I always come in with that awareness, right, that yes, maybe this is my temperament and tendency, but I've never used it to be like, well, look where the stars are, so I'm probably going to fail, or of course I'm not aligned. So I think that awareness has, I've had it like a healthy skepticism around it, but I also understand the value of having sort of a structure or organization to energy. So yes, don't worship it, right? I get that. Don't think this is history of the future. No, it's sort of a starting point to sort of make sense of something, but you transcend it, right? So, and I can sort of see that with my use of crystals and things like that. I do think they are training wheels and I don't think there's anything wrong with training wheels. I'm just one person who I acknowledge I had training wheels until after the age where most people wouldn't, right? I'm a cautious person. I definitely feel like, for me to sort of let go of the railing and jump into the pool, right? It takes me a little longer maybe than other people. But also the contradiction in that is I do have great faith. So it's interesting. So I am looking there and exploring and thinking about all those things. And I think some of that is based on maybe lack of experience, right? Immaturity, the immaturity of a page. And I think I was processing some of that this week, looking at that. That can also be those younger parts of you, right? The exiled parts that didn't have the light of your awareness, right? They were pushed out through fragmentation because they carried the pain. So you pushed them out to cope. Well, those parts, when we give awareness, okay, I'm going on and on. And I feel like I don't know where that stopped. So I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm having so many thoughts here, which is very much the page, right? So I was talking about how those immature parts of you, which are younger parts that didn't have the light of your awareness, they were fragmented out, right? They were pushed out as exiles. That's what an exile is. When we fragment due to stress that we can't manage, or, those traumatic moments, or we inherit that ability to do that, or we're carrying an ancestor's part. There's so many things, right? Inherited burdens and ancestral traumas, things like that. We push out the parts that carry the most pain to cope so we can keep going forward, so we can just keep moving. And those parts are immature. When they pop up, we feel out of control. So I've been looking at those patterns and those parts even more, right? That's what internal family systems work is all about for me, and inner child work. And when you're working as an artist, you're working with that inner child, that inner genius. Those parts carry amazing gifts and blessings, but we've pushed them out because they also carry a lot of the pain. And I think the page can represent that, limiting thoughts, limiting beliefs, certainly, because the sword suit is about thoughts. It's about communication, even the way we communicate to ourselves. So I've just been thinking about all of these things during the page week, and the page is about the thoughts, right? Before the action, the thoughts before the action, because the action will be through the night. The night is the movement, right? So the page is the thought of it, the idea, the concept, like a very new thought or an idea, very new idea, which is followed up by action when we move into the night. So, sorry, that was a lot. I had a lot of energy, a lot of mental energy with the page. So let me know about your week with the page. There's a lot more that happened. A lot more communication. Like, I'm thinking I had a conversation with a really close friend who just lost an uncle as well. I think I talked about that in one of the previous weeks with the card, I think it was the 9 of Weeks card. And I actually reached out this week because I thought, don't just bombard somebody that's grieving, So I gave him a call this week and a couple days ago and had a conversation, and he seemed like he was in a really good place. He's the strong one for his family, and I just love him so much. So he was really happy that I called, and he was happy to hear from me, which made me feel good. Because again, that was like, I hate to feel like I'm intruding on somebody, and I would hate if he thought I was calling just to get the down low, like what's happening. Like, it wasn't that. It was, I love you. I want you to know I'm here. Like, if you need to unburden or talk to me, like, I'm here. And a little of that, that's what happened a little bit. And so it made me feel good, that I could be there for him. He's such a bright light for other people. So, it's great when, you can be there for somebody who's been a bright light for you and, sees you as the same, so that's good. Something else happened that I watched Cats, the movie, for the first time, the musical, and it was uncomfortable. It was really, I don't know the musical that well. I know a couple of songs, like, of course I know Memory. And I knew a couple other songs, but, and I knew it was mostly known for the dancing, right? You think of Cats, you think, a musical about cats, it's probably going to be movement oriented. I can imagine like seeing cats move and being like, that would be an interesting musical, dance heavy musical. Because cats a lot of times are just very, the way they move is very ballerina. I could see a ballerina mimicking that, or a dancer, mimicking some of those moves. So I could see that. And I did think some of the songs and the lyrics certainly were not good, like, it was just not well thought out. Some of the rhymes were just really like, not very clever. I don't know, but it reminded me of the page. Like, I just felt like that must have been a first draft. You did not really refine that tune, did you? Like, you did not refine that lyric at all, did you? That was the first rhyme that came to your mind, wasn't it? There was you know, some of the numbers were exciting, right? I'm a little biased. I thought Rum Tugger was probably one of the best, but I went to school with that actor, so I realized that could have been biased. But I that was probably my favorite song when he performed. Anytime he was there, I thought, okay, this is actually interesting. Thank you. And of course, the music was very different when he was dancing, and singing. Some of it I was just like, I thought that they were trying to make cats look smaller than they actually were. Like, there were times where I understood, like, yes, cats are smaller than humans, but like when they were on the staircase and when they were on the railroad track, I just thought, cats aren't that small. They're not like rodents. Like, that's the size of a rat. What are you doing? So I just thought some of that took me out of it big time. I didn't quite understand some of the things. And then the last song that Judi Dench is singing, and it's just such a weird, prolonged close-up on her, and the other cat's like staring at her, like, and she's delivering really weird lines like, your memory I will jog, a cat is not a dog. What happened there? And what were you on when you wrote that lyric? That's okay. You're gonna leave that in the final draft? All right. Well, got it. So it actually made me embarrassed that I didn't make it in the arts, at least not yet. I felt embarrassed that that movie was out there. And so anyway, and that felt very Page of Swords to me, like maybe some premature lines that should have been refined there, rethought, or edited out, certainly. So anyway, it was as bad as they say. And I wasn't a fan of cats anyway, so I didn't really... But I thought it can't be that bad if it was on Broadway all those years, right? One of the longest running shows. So I finally was able to watch and weigh in, and it was not good. It was not good. Even the dancing was hard to enjoy because of the CGI cat stuff. It was hard to even enjoy the dancing. So, but anyway... so that was disappointing, but I watched it, I got through it, and I'm glad I saw it once. I always want to support the arts. It's just, yeah, that was a bit disappointing, but anyway, so that was my week with the Page of Swords. Let me know what your experience was. I'd love to know, did you deepen your understanding or connection or symbolism of that card, what it might mean if it came up in a reading for you, right? Because now I can see, oh, maybe that's a younger air sign male thinking of you, or right, or having an idea, but maybe we should think this through a little bit more, right? Maybe it's a premature thought, and we just need to have a little more experience with it. Not ready to act on it yet, right? Or hey, just guard against diarrhea of the mouth here. Process things a little more before you talk about them. It could also be maybe you're going to be acknowledged for something you didn't know anyone was even watching. So all of these things, right? So let me know your experience. Let's move into the Knight of Swords. Okay, so what does Robert Place have to say about the Knight of Swords? This card also has windblown clouds and trees and birds, much like the Page of Swords. The messengers from the air flying above. They're the birds. There are birds on the knight's surcoat and on the horse's reins and breastplate. Along with the birds on the horse's breastplate, there are butterflies. These represent sylphs, the elemental spirits of air. The knight charges ahead with his feathered crest trailing. He is like a personification of the wind, and he expresses better than any of Smith's knights, the Golden Dawn's theme for the knights, the power of action. Waite compares him to Galahad. The knight has identified what is evil and intends to destroy it. He is a hero, but this type of judgmental behavior must be reserved for true threats and not become a habit. And it's interesting, it's so windy out today. It was just snowing and the snow's blowing around, and I actually heard a helicopter above. So, and so what might it mean if this card shows up for divination in a reading? Charging ahead and bringing the truth, aggressive, action-oriented, great speed to speak truth, in full course as if scattering his enemies. Divination is skill, bravery, capacity, defense, address, enmity, wrath, war, destruction, opposition, resistance, ruin. And then Alice B. Grist's intuitive meaning, determination against confusing odds, fighting through a storm, finding sanity within the fog, showing up even when the situation is frightening, becoming a force of nature to position oneself against the winds of life. And then looking at the Biddy Tarot's meaning for the night, got to tune into Bridget's meaning. Ambitious, action-oriented, driven to succeed, fast thinking. And then as with all the Knights of the Tarot deck, the Knight of Swords is a man or woman on a mission. Once he has his mind set on something, nothing is stopping him. And as a Swords card, this knight actively uses the power of his intellect to achieve his goals. When the Knight of Swords appears in a Tarot reading, it is a sign that you are highly driven, ambitious, and action-oriented. You are so highly motivated to succeed that you will stop at nothing to pursue your dreams. The challenges, difficulties, and obstacles on the path ahead don't faze you because you know where you want to go. Move forward with sheer strength and determination to make things happen. The Knight of Swords suggests that you are quick to take action and tend not to plan ahead, instead preferring to dive right in. You thrive on high levels of energy that propel you forward and inspire you to take action to manifest your goals. The Knight of Swords reminds you to be assertive in getting what you want. He doesn't hang back and wait for something to happen. He is always making the first move and actively pursuing his goals. You can harness this energy in your life too by being proactive and forward-thinking. See yourself as the creator of your future and be ready to take the necessary steps to make it happen. The downside of the fast-thinking, quick-acting Knight of Swords is that sometimes you act too quickly and haven't thoroughly thought things through. You may be unaware of potential challenges and issues that will stand in your way, or the unintended consequences of your actions. You may be prone to rushing things or cutting corners to get a job done. Or you may pursue a specific goal, thinking it is what you want, but later realize that it's out of alignment or a dead end. Sometimes a little planning and preparation can go a long way. The Knight of Swords also represents your need to understand the world from an intellectual point of view. You have well-developed communication skills and can easily form solid arguments and opinions on current affairs and important matters. You love to engage with others who have similar skills so that you can share your ideas and develop new points of view. You may be best suited to discussion groups and with like-minded individuals where you can fire each other up and motivate one another. So that's what we'll be looking at this week with the Knight of Swords. Very excited to move into that action energy. I like that reminder to take mindful action, be thoughtful before we move forward with action, and beware of wanting to move forward with things that might lead to a dead end, or also overcommitting with action, right? That can lead to burnout. So even though that would be more of a wands thing, burnout, I think swords can lead to maybe confusion, too much mental activity. So, or giving up too much of our mental resources to projects that maybe aren't as replenishing as we think they might be. So looking forward to this week and building on that Page of Swords week. So I'm going to use some sound here with the Frosted Crystal Singing Bowl. And let's integrate further that week with the Page of Swords, helping to nurture those younger parts of us, right? And grow those immature parts, flesh out those ideas, really think them through, evolve them, cut out any limiting destructive beliefs or patterns. And then ushering in a week with the Knight of Swords, calling in synchronicities with the sound, to deepen our understanding of the card itself and to integrate and immerse ourselves in that symbolism. So you might want to close your eyes, connect to your breath. Good. Coming back to the room in your own time. Thank you for going on this journey with me. If you've made it this far, thank you for sticking around and being loyal to this process and hanging with me till the end. I appreciate it. If you're still here, put a sword, if there's a sword symbol, in the comments. I'd love to know who's still here with me. Thank you so much. And thanks for liking the video, subscribing to the channel if you're not already. And let me know what your experience of this, the Page of Swords was, and how you're enjoying this journey, or what's going on for you. If you want a session or to follow me on social media platforms, all those links will be in the description. If you want to purchase any of the items, right? The Amazon store will be linked there as well. Thank you so much for spending another amazing week with the cards. And I'm on this journey with you, even though we're not catching up every day. We're going on this journey together. So I hope you feel that, and we're bonding that way, okay? I will see you in the next one. Bye, Empath.